our sandbox is becoming more and more sandboxy by the hour. So in this demo, we are going to install Blacksheep CRM devpops. You find the link in the description. Go to GitHub, blacksheep-CRM devpops, and notice, please, strictly educational, do not use in mission-critical environments. This is just for your own learning pleasure with Siebel OpenUI. And there's an installation guide here, so we have to do all these steps, obviously. And so we start by downloading the devpops zip package. And once that's downloaded, we are extracting it just straightforward into a directory. Okay, so there's a bunch of code in here, and also the developer and user guide if you want to peruse them. So we have to start with importing the CIFs, and oh, why not use web tools for this? So here we go, create a workspace. And in the archive menu, choose import from archive. Pick the ZIF file from your downloaded package and hit import. All right, so that's the wizard starts. And yeah, you could take your time, look at all the objects in there. We're just going the fast track here. So we go through the wizard. Yeah. Okay, as shown here, you could be on the cautious side and check out the object, but it's all new objects to your repository, so it's safe to just hit next and let the import finish. That takes a little bit longer as shown. We have been speeding this up. And let's verify that we have, at the time of this recording, there are 2 repository business services. They should be present now, the BCRM Server Manager service and the BCRM View Helper. Both we'll deal with in a little bit. So what's next? There is a view imported, which is called BCRM Modified Objects List View. And devpops does not modify any of your standard objects, so you have to find a screen of your choice and register that view with the screen and with the responsibility. So standard Siebel behavior here, nothing unexpected. So make sure you grab the name of the view, copy paste it. And we are looking for, well, I choose the data administration screen. And screen view. And there add the view. I have tapped off the view field now, so it looks for the view in the pick list. And once it found it, set the type, well, as you wish. I use aggregate view, that's the easiest for a sandbox. And some recognizable view bar text and menu text, and just for the sake of demo, just doing a string override here. Okay, so that's the screen modified now. So check out the next step. That's the responsibility. We have a new view, so we need a new responsibility if you need, or an existing one, and add this view. So we log into call center here. Any application will do. And let's go to the responsibilities first. Let's create a responsibility called devpops. If you already have one, of course, use that. We don't have the view yet, do that later. And pick the users who want to have access to that view. We only have admin here. And now let's go to views and register the new view. Copy paste is your friend. And make sure you associate the correct responsibility. Let's drill down for good measure. And hit clear cache one more time. All right, so that's step 3. Now we have already imported the BCRM Server Manager service, but there are user properties in that service. They must match your enterprise setup. So that's important if you use any Server Manager related functionality. So here make sure that I can see all the elements of business service, including business service user prop for the BCRM Server Manager service. That's a executable service that runs the Server Manager executable, generates a command line. So make sure the enterprise parameter is correct. So here I've launched Server Manager and ENT is the name in my case, so not ENG, so changing that. And also we have a different server name. That's the gateway host name with the gateway TLS port 2320 is correct. That path here also is different. Make sure you have a correct path to the temp directory here. And that's it, yeah. So again, this is a piece of functionality related to making calls to Server Manager from your browser. Devpops demonstrates that. All right, so we done that. And now we have to register 2 business services. One is not in the repository, it's actually client side. And registering with the application means you have to go to each application that you want devpops to work with. In my case, it's Siebel Universal Agent. You know the drill, probably go to application user prop, find the latest client business service entry with the highest number, Control B to copy, increase the number, and the value is the name of the business service. That's the first one. And the second one, just make sure don't have any typos, copy paste it. So you Control B one more time. So you have 2 client business service registrations. Okay, and we are ready to deliver the repository changes. That will take a while, it's a big one, so we do the usual bits of versioning, submitting, and delivering. Okay, so while delivery runs, we can check out the next step. The next step is import the FWK runtime business service into the client. So it's a client-side business service. So in the client, we go to sitemap, administration business service details, and hit the menu import service option. Choose the file. It's in your download. So FWK runtime XML, import that and drill down and check that you have around 30 methods. So it's a big one and you might want to use it to learn a bit from there. There is a function related to Server Manager. It's called srvrmgr, and that has a default path. And that path needs to be set according to your system. So in my case, it's MDE instead of SES. That's the only change you need to do in the code. Make it carefully and make sure you save it. And of course, if you have time, go through all the examples. Then there's a system preference we need to add. Let's query for it first. Runtime script system access is not present, so let's set it to true in uppercase. Well, that's what Oracle says, so let's do it. And you need to restart your object manager after that, by the way. Then there is a business service access for REST API for the other business service, but we can't do that yet as delivery is still running. So we have to wait. And while we're waiting, we can do the final steps that's taking care of the JavaScript. So there are 3 JavaScript files. The first one you simply copy to the folder indicated in the description. That's an application container external Siebel web root. Scripts third party. So find the scripts third party folder and paste that file here. Then we have a postload.js file, and the code in that postload.js file must go to the vanilla postload.js file. Now that is where, yeah, you should really get your neck hairs raised up. But, well, it's devpops, it's a sandbox, it's a learning environment. And some of the code is necessary to be in postload.js, vanilla postload.js. So I'm trying to copy here the content that is not vanilla. Okay. And now let's open the vanilla postload. It's actually in the scripts folder, as I recall. Okay, open that with an editor, and below the standard code, you shouldn't really have any custom code in there, but now you have for Siebel Web Tools, and that's of course a non-standard modification of that file. You have to take care of that file from now on. And then there's the devpops.js core file, which goes into the custom folder. So that's scripts Siebel custom on your AI machine. So we have single stack here. And that custom devpops.js file has to be registered in the OpenUI manifest. So let's do that. First go to manifest files, create a record for the new file, Siebel/custom/devpops.js. And in manifest administration, depending on your system, so if you really have a fresh Siebel installation, you only have one entry for platform independent in application common, and that is the vanilla entry. If you have 2, then you already have a custom one. If you don't have a custom one, create it by copying the vanilla entry, and we set one expression at level 1 and associate devpops.js. So it's always loaded with the application. And for good measure, it's not documented, but you could add a expression as shown here. Let's call it enable devpops. And we just set it to true, so it's a simple on-off switch. So setting it to false would disable devpops. And now we use that expression, of course. You can figure out other expressions if you want for just for applications or responsibilities or certain users. Okay, so that's, well, there's one step missing, that business service well, we have to wait for the delivery to complete. So now it's complete. We have been speeding the video up a little bit. So let's complete that final step. And we need to log into a fresh session to load the new repository. And that will already kick off devpops. So if all goes well, you should see a change in the menu of the application. As we see a message there, devpops is loaded. That's very cool. And there's the devpops bug menu with all the options you can try. Check out the link in the description for a video on all these demonstrations of OpenUI integration, including the fast inspect. If you right click on the workspace button, you get this option here to quickly load a workspace, but we're not dealing with that. We're just installing devpops. So check out the video in the description if you're interested. So what we have to do now is register that final business service with a responsibility so we can access it using the REST API. And of course, the REST API needs to be functional and set up correctly. If you follow the videos in this playlist, you have a working REST API on your Sandbox already. Okay, and Siebel Tools, we just logged in again to make sure we have devpops for Siebel Tools. And if it doesn't load the right way, go to Developer Tools and do empty cache and hard reload. So now this should load the postload.js, the modified postload.js, and this will kick off some functionality. You immediately see it in the recent devpops version. We have a nice and cozy looking Redwood-inspired banner with a screens menu. And if you go to online help, in help, you go to the real Siebel Tools online help for your Siebel Tools version. So that's already a feature of devpops. And let's check out the screens menu. First click is a bit slow because of the REST API. EI Object Manager has to kick in. There it is. There's the screens menu. So WebTools gets a screens menu by courtesy of devpops, and you can, for example, if you have to see it to believe it, you can access the business service simulator and other views from within WebTools. How cool is that? Again, be careful what you wish for and don't try this in any mission critical system. DevPops just really shows how far you can go and how far you should definitely not go. Okay, but still we got distracted here. Sorry for that. We have to take care of that business service. All right. So in the application, we go to sitemap. And find the administration application business service access view. Create a record on top. Open the pick list. And now you should find that BCRM view helper service. There it is. And register it with, well, all the necessary responsibilities for the REST API. So let's pick Siebel Administrator and add the one method that this business service has called check views. And let's repeat that for our new devpops responsibility. And here we go. Clear cache for good measure. There are two clear cache buttons. Well, let's press Alt2. Okay, so now let's see if we can do Server Manager, for example, in the devpops menu, but there's a slight error here. We need to take care of a path in the code. So open the devpops.js file in your Siebel custom folder. If you have the same error, and find the line where the variable devpops_config is defined. Set the SES home property to the correct path to the Siebel server. So next thing, we can go to the developer tools of the browser to do the empty cache and hard reload. Right click on the refresh button to do that, so then devpops changes are loaded. Now let's try again. Open the devpops menu, go Server Manager, hit OK for the default command for testing, and if all goes well, you should see after a few moments the list of components running on your server in Server Manager style. That's great. So congratulations here.